7 bedrooms and 5 full bathrooms under one roof in Kailua.
This Enchanted Lake home on Oahu is asking $200,000 above what homes in this neighborhood have actually sold for over the past year. That's the opposite problem from the last Enchanted Lake home I toured, which was priced under the median. This one's testing the top of it. 2 separate floors here, each built like its own small home. 1 set of bedrooms and bathrooms downstairs, a completely different set upstairs, plus a family room and a wet bar on the upper level. We'll walk through exactly how that's laid out in a minute, but first the number behind the price. Enchanted Lake's own 12-month median sold price sits at $1.8 million. This home is asking $2 million. That's about 11% over what this specific neighborhood has been closing at, and it's the second highest asking price of every active single-family listing in Enchanted Lake right now. Only one home beats it. I'm not just walking you through the rooms on this one. I'm going to show you the actual market data behind why a home like this gets priced, where it does, what's happened to prices here in just the last month, and what both buyers and sellers need to know before making a move in this neighborhood right now. In Hawaii, price usually comes down to one thing: the land underneath, not the square footage of the house. This home breaks that pattern a little. The county assessment here runs a little over $2 million, and land only makes up about 62% of that, with the structure carrying almost 38%. Compare that to a smaller, older Enchanted Lake home I toured last time, where land carried nearly 80% of the value. The difference is size and age. This house is over 3,000 square feet and built in 2006, while most of what's actually sold here over the past year is smaller and decades older. On a price per square foot basis, this home runs about $600 a square foot, lower than a lot of the smaller homes that sold here this year, some of which closed north of $1,600 a square foot. That's the same inverse pattern I keep finding in this neighborhood. Smaller homes trade higher per square foot, bigger homes trade lower, so compare homes here by the lot and the whole package, not by that number alone. Now, before I get further into the market side, here's something worth knowing if today's rates are the only thing keeping you on the sidelines. There are close to 100 homes across Oahu right now where you can take over the seller's existing loan instead of taking out a new one, some of them locked in at 2 to 3%. I pull that full list twice a month. Click the link below, drop your email, and I'll send it over free. Now to the part that actually changed since the last time I covered this neighborhood, so we can actually see which direction things are moving, not just where they've been. The 12-month median sold price here just dropped $30,000 in a single month, from $1.83 million down to $1.8 million, and the year-over-year growth rate cooled from just over 10% down to about 6%. Kailua as a whole is showing the same thing, a flat median and slower growth than a month ago. Sellers here are also netting a little less against their asking price than they were in June, running between about 97.5% and 98% of list, depending on the window, down from 98 to 100% a month earlier. None of this is a crash, it's a market that ran hot for a while and just started cooling by a few points. If you're a seller, that means pricing accurately matters more this month than it did last month. If you're a buyer, it means you've got slightly more room to negotiate than buyers had 4 weeks ago. The upper level has 4 bedrooms, 2 of them with walk-in closets, 3 full bathrooms, a family room, and a wet bar. One of the upstairs bathrooms has a soaking tub. The bedrooms up here are sized to comfortably fit a queen bed, which isn't a given in a lot of Oahu homes this age, or in this case, homes built almost 60 years earlier than this one. There's a hallway closet for extra storage, useful in a house with this many bedrooms sharing common space. This upper level functions almost like its own separate living area with its own bathrooms and its own gathering space in the family room, rather than everyone funneling through one shared living room. If you're actually watching this neighborhood in real time, instead of just reading a monthly average, this one's worth knowing. Every single active Enchanted Lake single-family listing I found 3 days ago is still active today. Same 13 homes, same prices, not one of them repriced, not one of them gone. That's an unusually quiet stretch for a market this size. It also means the trailing data has finally caught up to what's actually happening on the ground. Last time I covered this neighborhood, the rolling average for homes for sale read about 6. While the live count sitting on the market, was 13, more than double. This month, that trailing number has climbed to match the live count exactly. The lesson from last time about trailing averages lagging reality doesn't apply the same way anymore, at least for this particular metric right now. While we're on live numbers, months of supply is worth explaining if you haven't heard the term before. It's how long it would take to sell through everything currently on the market at the current pace, if nothing new got listed. Under 3 months, and it's considered a seller's market. Enchanted Lake is sitting at about 1.8 months right now. Still tight, but up slightly from 1.7 a month ago, the smallest possible move toward more balance. Compare that to Oahu overall, running closer to 3.5 months, nearly double this neighborhood's number. New listings here have also picked up, running nearly 60% higher on a rolling 6-month basis than the same stretch last year. More sellers are listing in this neighborhood right now than they were 12 months ago, which is exactly why accurate pricing matters more the moment supply starts climbing. And on the sold side, 33 homes closed here over the past year, and about 18% of them needed a concession to get to the finish line. Credits ranging from $8,000 up to $50,000. That's roughly 1 in 5 sales needing a sweetener. So if you're selling and a buyer asks for one, that's not a red flag on your listing. It's just what happens in about 1/5 of the deals here, regardless of price point. The fastest sale in this data set closed in a single day at 2.1 million. The slowest took 221 days to close, also at 2 million, by far the longest hold in the sample, and an outlier against everything else, which moved in under 3 months. Between the 2 floors, you're looking at 7 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms, total under 1 roof, which is more sleeping space than almost anything else that's sold in this neighborhood over the past year. One more number worth checking if you're wondering how reliable an accepted offer actually is in this neighborhood right now. 39 homes went pending here over the past year, and 33 closed in that same window. Most of the gap between those two numbers is just timing. Deals that went pending near the end of the period and haven't closed yet, not deals that fell apart. That's a healthy sign if you're a buyer trying to gauge whether an accepted offer here is likely to actually make it to closing, and for a seller wondering whether accepting an offer means the deal is basically done. Downstairs is a completely different footprint. 3 bedrooms, 2 full bathrooms, a living room, a kitchen, and laundry hookups. The kitchen down here is the main one, with direct access out to the backyard and a water heater tucked nearby. One of the downstairs bedrooms isn't especially large, but fits a full-size bed comfortably. This lower level reads like a self-contained unit on its own: kitchen, living space, bedrooms, and bathrooms, separate from everything happening upstairs. Closed sales also jumped in the most recent single month, up nearly 75% from the month before. Though with only a handful of closings a month in a neighborhood this size, one extra sale can swing that percentage hard. The 3-month and 12-month windows are the steadier read, and both show closed sales trending up compared to a year ago, right in line with new listings picking up. More homes coming on, more homes closing. That's a neighborhood absorbing inventory rather than getting stuck with it. Median days on market ticked up by 1 day since last month too, from 14 to 15, still well under Oahu's overall median of 20, but a small signal that homes aren't moving quite as instantly as they were a few weeks ago. If you're a seller, that's one more reason accurate pricing matters this month. If you're a buyer, it means you're not automatically racing against a dozen other offers the way you might have been in June. This next one is worth knowing if you're thinking about buying something that needs work in this neighborhood, because it just played out in real time. One home here sold earlier this year for just over 1.2 million, a 4-bedroom, 1.5 bath built in 1961. It's coming back on the market in the next few days. Fully renovated, new walls, new windows and doors, new roofing, new flooring, new cabinets and countertops, new appliances, new air conditioning in every room, new electrical and plumbing. Same land, same year built, same size home before the work started, reconfigured down to 3 bedrooms and 2.5 baths, with a new outdoor living space added. It's asking just under 1.93 million. That's a jump of about 723,000 on the exact same lot. And every dollar of that gap is the renovation, not the market moving underneath it. If you're a buyer weighing a fixer against something move-in ready, that's roughly what a full renovation actually costs to add back in value here. If you're a seller sitting on an older home, that's the ceiling a full remodel can realistically buy you in this neighborhood. Not a guarantee, but a real recent data point. On the flip side of that story, 15 listings in this neighborhood left the market without selling over the past year, out of 64 total. That's a little over 1 in 5. Some were pulled to reprice, some ran out their contract term without a buyer. Neither one means the home is gone for good. It usually means the price and the market didn't line up the first time. If you've had a home sit without selling, that's not necessarily a reflection on the home itself. Back to this specific property, it sits on a zoning designation called R5, which sets a smaller minimum lot size than some of the other pockets of Kailua. The listing notes this particular lot might be large enough to support a second dwelling, something like a duplex configuration, if a buyer wanted to go that route. That's the agent's stated read on the zoning, not a guarantee. And anyone seriously considering it needs their own architect and the county to confirm what's actually buildable here before counting on it. Flood zone here is the lower risk designation, same as most of this neighborhood. The county's tax assessment on this home runs a little over $2 million, with monthly property taxes landing around $1,360. This listing just hit the market, on it just over a week now, so there's no red yet on how the neighborhood is actually receiving that asking price. Given it's testing the top of what this neighborhood has proven it'll pay, that's worth watching over the next month. Put it all together and this is where things land. This home is priced 11% above Enchanted Lake's own 12-month median, in a month where that median just pulled back 30,000 and growth is cooling. That doesn't mean it won't sell at this number. Bigger, newer homes with a layout like this one don't come up often here, but it does mean the comparable sales to watch closely over the next few weeks are the ones near the top of this price range, not the middle. If you're a buyer, that's your leverage point. If you're a seller with something similarly sized, that's your pricing reality check. If today's rates are the only reason you're sitting on the sidelines in a market that's still moving this fast, don't start with the house, start with the loan. There are close to 100 homes across Oahu right now where you can step directly into the seller's existing rate instead of taking out a new one at today's rates. I pull that full list from the MLS twice a month so it stays current. Click the link below, drop your email, and I'll send it over free. I'm Oksana with Island Living Oahu. Subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.